My name's Colin. I live in Bath in the southwest of England. This is my channel, the Yay, Nay or Meh channel, and this is another episode of This Charmed Man, a first-time series of reaction videos to the TV series Charmed. We have reached Season 2, Episode 4 of the original series of Charmed. I've just finished editing the first 3 episodes of Series 2, and as often happens, that has given me the itch to record some more, despite the fact I'm still struggling with the copyright protections for the first 3 episodes, but they will get through eventually. But yeah, so I've got that itch again to record some Charm, because there's some potentially interesting stuff to come. I mean, I really don't think this series has got off to the fastest of starts this season. I mean, episode 1, we had basically a recap episode. You know, these are some of the things which happened in season 1, and we're going to remind you of them. Episode 2, we had the trip to the future, which was basically, yes, a chance to have fun, you know, speculate what might happen long into the future, in the far off distant future of 2009. But also, I think more than anything, that was simply a reminder of the not for personal gain thing. We are white witches, we are not allowed to cast spells for personal gain. But so many times there's grey areas about that. I mean, so many times that the sisters cast a spell which is directly beneficial to them, but we're not allowed to cast spells to make our lives better. There seems to be some grey areas there, and I know maybe at some point I'll do a package that's potentially something to do in the season 2 wrap up. Yeah, store that away in the back of my mind. But that always seems like a bit of a grey area. And then episode 3 was The Painted World, which honestly wasn't the greatest episode, I don't think. I think there was shoddy writing with the relationship between the warlocks in that. I mean, Jane and... can't even remember the warlock's name who was stuck in the painting, but yeah, I think that was a little bit underwritten. I think that left a little to be desired. I mean, the absolute epitome of a filler episode as far as I'm concerned. So we haven't really got started. And then we've got the next door neighbours, Dan.
Whoa.
And his niece Jenny. And doing the editing for the first 3 episodes, I've realised I think the character's name is primarily Dan, but I kept on calling him Danny, which is a personal thing for me because I know 2 people, including a foster brother of mine named Danny. In fact, this armchair I'm sitting in right now used to be Danny's, my foster brother. So yeah, with that name, I instinctively say Danny instead of Dan. So apologies if that bothers you in the first 3 episodes. But regardless of the name, the fact that we have this next door neighbour and his adorable little niece, and they're both in the credits, I'm really concerned that this is kind of a Cousin Oliver thing. And I'm also concerned, I mean, clearly Dan is set up to be a love interest. I mean, because the actor, Greg Vaughan, I think his name is a very, very handsome man, hence the...
Whoa.
So he's going to be a love interest for somebody. But I thought it was going to be Phoebe. But at the very end of the last episode, Phoebe seemed to be passing him off to Piper. Or maybe that was just an ad-lib by Alyssa Milano, which I think is very, very likely given the interactions that the cast seems to have with each other. So is Dan going to be a love interest for Phoebe or Piper or both? Is it going to be, Phoebe finally getting a stable relationship, or Piper doing the thing with that guy with the wine at the end of the first season, realizing this is the man who isn't Leo. But is she actually going to start something with him? Who knows? But yeah, I'm deeply concerned where this is going, and it also occurred to me as I was doing the editing for season 3, for the first 3 episodes of season 2, that Piper hasn't actually tried to freeze them. I mean, obviously it hasn't come up because we've barely seen them, but one or both of them, either Dan and or Jenny, I think is going to be a witch or a warlock or something. I mean, I am really reserving judgments on this. I mean, there's every chance that I will be complaining a lot about Dan and Jenny in my season 2 wrap up whenever I get to that. But yeah, that's an aspect of season 2 we haven't really dealt with yet. And Morris has barely shown up. I mean, he was basically one scene in episode 1, and that was it. So, how and where is that relationship between the sisters and Morris going to go? So yeah, we need answers on that. And yeah, I mean, as well as Phoebe not having any romantic attachments, she also still doesn't have a job, and that seemed to be something she was going to go for at the end of season 1. So let's see where that goes. So yeah, there's some. I know that seems like a really long time talking about random stuff, but I have a lot of thoughts on my mind after doing the editing on the first 3 episodes. So yeah, see, episode 4 is The Devil's Music. Okay, well, the instant thing that comes to mind with that is that's what they used to call rock and roll. I mean, when rock and roll music, Bill Haley and the Comets, all that kind of stuff happened in the late 50s, there were a lot of people who were very, very concerned with rock and roll and teenage delinquency, all that kind of stuff. So rock and roll was known as the devil's music. And it always brings to mind a couple of things. Well, firstly, the old episode of Quantum Leap, where he was a rock and roll DJ and had to stand up for the right to play rock and roll.
I'd like to read you something that we dug out of the news files here from the Peoria Dispatch. It was written a couple weeks ago by your friend and mine, Frederick R. Beeman. I am not against music. I love music, but rock and roll is not music. It is nothing more than the half-articulate speech of a group of people of extreme dress and style whose radical intention is to excite and inflame the youth of our community. Now I would like to read you something written by a group of long-haired, weirdly dressed radicals in 1791. It's called the First Amendment.
And there was also a very poignant sequence in a documentary I saw about Little Richard. He was a very, very conflicted man, a flamboyantly gay man in the 1950s, a flamboyantly gay black man in the 1950s, who also grew up very, very religious. So at various points in his life, he was, the flamboyant queer performer. The original lyrics of Tutti Frutti are absolutely filthy. But at various points throughout his career, he was also a very evangelical Christian who denounced rock and roll. And yeah, there was a sequence in the Little Richard documentary, I Am Everything, which really, really stuck in my mind.
We knew he was a rock and roll star. Why would he be coming to Oakwood? Word spread he's not coming to give a concert, he's coming as a student.
Oakwood was the premier black Seventh-day Adventist school. Very conservative. I was a little boy. My mother was a teacher. I was old enough to know who he was, but we didn't have rock and roll on campus. It was a sin to listen to Richard's music.
Shortly after he got there, he gave his testimony. He said he saw himself in hell. He said he knew he wasn't ready to see the Lord with what he was singing and how he was behaving. He called it devil music.
So yeah, I mean, that is, the devil's music is rock and roll. So what are we going to have here? A rock and roll demon? or maybe it's something more old than that. I mean, the virtuoso violinist Paganini. Rock and roll or selling your soul to the devil for musical talent, could be either. So yeah, that's my best guess as to what's coming up in this particular episode. But one of the things I noticed whilst I was doing the editing of the first 3 episodes is I really should emphasize more my bingo cards, which I instituted in my season 1 wrap up. But if you didn't see that episode or saw it a while ago, the fact I keep on referencing the bingo cards and you maybe don't know what they are, I think I should explain them before I actually get into the episode. So, I started realising that I was picking up tropes and characters that maybe should and would come up in the future, so I instituted some bingo cards. Firstly, a list of 30 monsters and tropes which potentially could show up in an episode of Charmed, and we've already ticked off one off that list. And I also put together a list of 10 individuals who I potentially could see coming back in future episodes, and we've already ticked off 2 off that list as well, although one's a bit of a grey area. But yes, those are my Charmed bingo cards, and whenever one of those tropes comes up, I will shout bingo and potentially annoy you, but it amuses me, so I have instituted the Charmed bingo cards for season 2, even though I have been spoiled on a couple of them and I know that some will be coming up. But anyway, on with episode 4 of season 2, The Devil's Music.
Maybe the other place we're talking about might be working on this.
Oh, has Piper actually opened her club? Yeah, this looks like the hot place in town, doesn't it? Yeah, it's not going well.
If I was embalmed.
He's a collector, an investor, and it's a no-interest loan that we can pay back anytime. And trust me, he's not going to miss the money.
Must be nice. When do we tell Piper?
Yeah, that sounds too
Not
good to
until
be
the
true.
club is in the black.
P3, little nod to the power of 3 to us partners.
Yeah, it's very clever.
And
Piper,
3 sisters
it's a little,
whose names all start with P.
Quiet. In here, don't you think?
It'll pick up once word of mouth kicks in.
And when will that be? Exactly.
Yeah,
You
it's
predict these
very,
things
very
exactly.
hard to
It's not like
launch
starting a restaurant. Besides, thanks
an
to
entertainment
loan,
venue.
it's not like we're gonna lose the house.
Who said anything about losing the house? We're not going to lose the house, are we?
Yeah, way to panic your sisters, Piper.
I take care of things. Whatever needs to be done, I do.
Man, I can't believe this. This is like the most unbelievable thing that has ever happened to me.
The night's young.
I can't believe you picked me.
Well, you seemed like a good soul. Plus, you said the magic words. You said you'd do anything, remember?
Oh, that's not a good thing to say to a creepy music type. He's feeding young women to somebody or something. It's basically the same plot as episode 2. I've Got You Under My Skin, with the photographer with the aging eyes. Okay, whatever it is, it's big. And doesn't look like it's directly related to this band on stage, so...
No more. I can't keep
Yeah, you
doing
always
this.
say
It's
that.
gotta stop.
But you're going to do it. Oh, that's not nice. Oh! So unnecessary. Special musical guest Dishwaller. Okay, nope, never heard of them. Gonna have to see if they actually even released anything here in the UK.
Right over
Hey, what is this?
An intervention.
So what does Leo know, and what did he just do? That sort of Sandman dust. Oh, 24,000 in the red.
This is
Shit.
bad.
Not a clue what you're talking about.
He's talking about passion. Piper Halliwell?
Oh, okay. This looks kind of interesting. I think what's happened here is that Leo influenced the manager to book Dishwaller in Piper's club.
The boys want to reacquaint themselves with the personal side of performing. They want to connect again. I think your little hole in the wall here is just what the doctor ordered.
On one level, that's kind of insulting. On the other level, eh.
Do you think it would be possible for me to meet the band? I'd do almost anything.
Oh, don't say that! He's gonna feed you to a monster!
I have no doubt I'll be seeing my money again after your sister gets her club off the ground.
And the terms are still the same?
Absolutely. No interest.
No, we'll pay you interest.
Okay, fine.
I do not trust this guy.
Now, speaking of getting off
If
the
one thing,
ground,
he's in a suit,
that,
in a limo.
Plane trip to Paris is still open for discussion, isn't it?
And is this just to get into her pants? So is this mildly creepy yuppie or warlock? Either of them may be wanting to get into Prue's pants.
You know, why don't we just start with your loan, followed with us paying you back as soon as possible?
And combining the "I want to sleep with you," which he clearly does, with "I'm going to give you money." There's some twisted stuff there.
I'll see you at the club with the money.
Okay, bye-bye. Oh.
And Phoebe was right there.
Dishwalla decided to put P3 on their schedule. How's about that?
No,
P3
Leo
has
did
officially
it
been
for you.
validated as the place to be. We are on the map.
I suggested to Carlton that he get Dishwalla into your club.
Why don't you just come to us?
Because he knows I would have been pissed off. What are you doing?
My job.
Your job? What are we, like Leo's witches now? We're supposed to kill a demon during a sold-out concert?
Yeah.
Nuts? Piper. No, Leo, anywhere
I mean,
else,
that's
but not
kind
there,
of the
not my
setup.
place. All this freeing and destroying, is this in between sets or during the encore?
Look, I know you're upset.
I mean, Piper had to realise that at some points her professional life with the club would interfere with her mystical life, being a witch.
See, no, this is exactly why you
Maybe
should never
not this
date a
directly,
coworker.
Miss Early.
It was a joke.
Not the time, Phoebe.
Well, I have to get to the office and call this investor. Barker, gotta talk to Barker.
And when are they going to tell Piper about the interest-free loan, as long as this guy gets in Prue's pants?
She's been missing since
Oh.
last night when she came to this club.
Hello, Morris.
Whoa.
What?
Look, Mazzolin's victims.
Yeah. Trapped within the demon, the unfortunates are kept alive, their souls tortured for the pleasure he gets from their suffering.
Okay, so if they're still alive, then once he's vanquished, they all come out. Magical cleanup!
I'm out. I'm done with it. No more souls. The pact, the agreement is now
Kind of interesting design. I mean, nice and creepy. It's a little bit like the Ghost of Christmas Future from Scrooged. Very underrated version of A Christmas Carol.
Hey, back off, big man. That may work with the chicks, but not with me. Is this straight? May I? Did our people do that? We're gonna get phone calls.
I think your sister's little venture is on its way to great success, which is why I've already gone to your bank and made an offer to pick up your loan.
You didn't.
Did.
Okay, Mr. Barker. We have a relationship.
Yes, and you've brought so many valuable items into my field of view. I just have this feeling that your sister's club is going to be the best one yet.
Okay, so definitely creep, but is he sort of like a yuppie corporate raider, or kind of a predator, whether sexual or warlock? I mean, this could go in a lot of ways, and most of them aren't good. Either we're going to get rid of him in this episode, which I hope we do, because he looks like he deserves it, but is this guy, I mean, he's going to be a recurring character. Hey, I've got the loan, pay me back, or give me your pan, or let me get in your throat.
How are we gonna get this down a demon's throat?
In this.
What is that?
It's a balloon.
What?
Okay, where is it?
Where's what?
The spoonful of sugar big enough to hide that thing.
You're looking at her.
I mean, it's not a terrible idea. Assuming that Alyssa Milano is young enough and pretty enough to actually make it work, which, yeah.
He acted as if we've never even had a relationship before, like it was just business.
Yeah, you're supposed to put the lid on, Piper.
On, honey.
And I saw the future too. You know, Leo and I get married.
Okay, so
a marriage
so
in the future
is
implies
this
some sort of relationship
yes,
in
but
the
that was only
present.
one possible
The question
future,
is,
wasn't it?
where's
But
the
is
relationship?
this the opportunity where Piper is going to attempt to make Leo jealous by going to the club with Dan?
That better not be him.
No, it's Dan.
Well, she's in her room right now picking out clothes.
Oh God. Okay, I'll go talk to her.
Hi.
Hello.
Listen, I was hoping that we could, talk.
Sure.
Yes, the
Leo,
other
you
hunky
see-
man who's good with
Dang
his
right.
hands.
Wait, you know him?
What, are you kidding? He used to play second base for the Mariners. He had an all-star season going until he
Oh,
blew his knee sliding in the home.
okay.
I still
Ex-baseball
think you're
player.
safe. So do I.
You have time for baseball, but you don't have time to tell me about you know what before you know who shows up you know where.
Listen, if you two need to talk or something, I can...
No. We don't need to talk. Leo stops by occasionally to fix things. Phoebe can show him around. Let's go talk to Jenny.
It's nice meeting you. Yeah, you too.
She's just a little upset.
As usual, I barely know what's going on. And I don't like it.
Look, I will explain everything to you later.
But you never do. I know it's all about keeping me safe, and I respect that. What do you know about Jeff Carlton?
I mean, as I keep on saying, I kept on saying about Andy in the first series. Just enough information to make him stop asking questions. That's all you need. Enough to keep him satisfied. That's all you need.
I have plenty of ideas. I even had you three working for the CIA for a while. But none of that matters. What matters is
That would have been
you
interesting.
and I work out some kind of relationship. We're going to need to communicate, or I'm going to become very unsociable.
Again, the friend and the foe going from friend to wanting to arrest you.
The missing girls.
Switch of a
Jeff
plot.
Carlton.
We're working on it. We've got this one for right now.
That, I think,
Sure.
that's all he needed.
I have to go.
I mean, like I said, that, I think, was just enough information for him to sort of push the brakes a little bit. That's all you needed.
She said I could go see the show.
I never said that. Jenny, I'm sorry, but I can't let you in the club.
Your mom and dad, they put me in charge.
Right. Everybody's in charge, but not me. Not ever. Why is that?
I'm sorry, she's just
I
feeling,
bet
you know, a
that
little...
Dishwaller's going to give
Betrayed.
her a special performance or a special meeting by the end of the episode.
Do you have any pointers? I would do just about anything to get the inside scoop.
Anything.
You see, and this is where, you know, using that phrase in
Yeah.
potentially the right way. Yeah.
Where's he taking her?
In the back.
That really is an extreme top that Alyssa Milano is
Okay, let's
wearing.
go.
And they did a better makeup job on her tattoo that time.
I wish we could just stuff his head in a toilet and make him cough up the demon.
Oh, honey, you still upset with Leo?
I'm talking about Carlton.
I can't keep up.
You brought witches to destroy me.
Oh, is Jenny gonna try and... Yep. I think that's Jenny trying to sneak into the club.
For Grant?
Oh, here you are, Mr. Grant.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that is far too easy for Jenny to sneak in.
Put your hands together for Dishwalla.
What do you want to do? With me, with us? Do you ever think about that?
All the time.
You ever want to discuss it with me?
Yes, it's just the timing always
Seems to...
Oh, great. Morris showed up as well.
Hold it.
So maybe it wasn't good enough what Prue told him
Morris
earlier.
is here. Whoa, oh boy.
Too much stuff going on.
What are you doing?
Weapons check.
There is nothing in there.
Oh. What the hell is that?
That is a $75 dry cleaning bill.
You're a friend of Piper Hallowell's, right?
And Phoebe and Prue. We're like sisters.
Listen, would you like to meet the band?
Are you serious? Man, I'd do anything to meet them.
Oh, God. That phrase again. I mean, of course it was going to be Jenny.
Jenny's here with Carlton.
What? Jenny's here?
And I've lost a potion.
Piper, it's important.
Yeah. Wait in line, pal.
Hey, why don't you step to the back?
Okay, everybody hold it.
Look! Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh, and that Jenny did freeze, so she's not a witch. And since Dan seems to be an ex-baseball player with the Seattle Mariners, then he's probably not a witch either. Or a warlock, so no.
It's time to join your friends, witches.
What is going on back
So she was wearing 2 layers on her bottom half.
Mr. Barker, here's what you need to know. This place is ours. The ups, the downs, the good, and especially the bad. It's all ours. Now, if you ever bother us again, you won't have to ask if I'm threatening you. Are we clear?
Yeah.
Good.
But that's kind of using your powers for personal gain, because they used their powers and now that Barker is just presumably not going to ever show up again. And how's Jenny going to deal with this? Because her eyes have been opened to the supernatural.
Hi.
At what point is Leo going to be given a key?
For everything.
Just doing my job.
I think we probably reached that point. Maybe not, but anyway. Something to think about.
Dan doesn't know she was at the club, but are you sure she won't remember anything?
I took care of a little hocus pocus.
Hey, that's remarkably convenient.
I'm doing what I thought you wanted me to do, Piper. You're the one who didn't want me to clip my wings.
And you shouldn't. Not for me, but that doesn't make it any easier for
Clip
us.
my wings.
What are we gonna do?
Why not just call them angels? I've always thought that white light was a really stupid term.
Go. It's okay. I understand.
Actually, thinking about it, Leo doesn't need a key, does he? This is just polite to ring the doorbell. Okay, so Dan is going to be Piper's rebound. Which, Josh, was it? The architecture student from season 1? But, yeah. That, at this point, that seems to be what we're going with. So, yeah. Not rock and roll, not Paganini, Dishwaller, who seemed to be basically a one-hit wonder with their song Counting Blue Cars from 1995, which I think we heard a bit of in the episode. And it doesn't look like, well, at least according to Wikipedia, it doesn't look like Dishwaller ever even released that. I think I'm supposed to know who they are, but I certainly didn't recognise them. But anyway, very, very similar setup to I've Got You Under My Skin, season 1, episode 2. You know, the creepy guy tempting attractive young women. In this case, for something else, another entity rather than for himself or itself. But basically the same thing. And not much other than that. I mean, pretty typical Monster of the Week, pretty typical setup. I mean, I think almost as soon as, you know, the sleazy manager showed up, you could kind of see where the episode was going. And yeah, nothing particularly new, particularly original there. But it does look like we've got P3 as the new venue, which potentially could be quite similar to the Bronze from Buffy. And I wonder if the makers of Charmed took direct influence from Buffy in saying, hey, we need the Bronze in Charmed, so let's do P3. And this is going to become, you know, the Quake of this season and potentially seasons on into the future. And also has the potential to have guest musicians come in, guest band. You know, playing this week is X. And yeah, I mean, again, pretty standard thing there. But yeah, the main thing that seems to be happening in this episode is a redefinition and a slowing down, maybe, or a distancing in the relationship between Piper and Leah. I mean, yes, Piper did admit in Love Hurts, season 1, episode 21, that she did love Leah, which is one of the reasons why I think that was my favourite episode of season 1. But here we have acknowledgement of the fact that their situation is potentially so complicated that it's just not worth it. And therefore, Piper is seemingly going to do the rebound thing with the hunky next door neighbour Dan, who still hasn't frozen. Jenny has, but Dan hasn't. So that I'm waiting for that to happen. And if he genuinely is an ex-baseball player, and if he played for the Seattle Mariners, you know, a top-level baseball player. So if he was, you know, a professional baseball player, I doubt he's a warlock or a witch, but who knows? So I don't think he's going to be evil. I think eventually, I think he's going to be a Baxter. The really nice, and in this case, incredibly handsome guy who just isn't the one you're in love with. Because she's still in love with Leah. And she admitted as such. But I mean, the situation between those two, it really needs to be sorted out. And yeah, I don't like where this is going. I really don't like where this is going. I think acknowledging the fact that with Piper as a witch and Leo as a white fighter, just call them angels. Acknowledging that complication, but trying to set up a love triangle thing, that's a cliche we don't need. The adorable teenage girl, that's a cliche we don't need. It's just putting really standard, really rote things on screen. And we don't really need that. And it's not even like we have the fun aspects of having a trope, which we really didn't. It's almost the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, almost the Phantom of the Opera, but not really either. But anyway. Yes, we have a redefinition and a deeper understanding of Piper and Leo's relationship. But again, this kind of feels like a filler episode. We also established P3 as the new venue, as the new place for the sisters to hang out. So I mean that's something. And we have a little bit of Morris and Prue in particular. The idea that I think Prue finally understands that just give him a little bit of information. I mean, yes, you want to protect him to some degree. You don't want to expose him to danger and or the supernatural world. I mean, I'm not sure which is more important. I mean, we don't want to expose him to danger or we don't want to expose him to the supernatural world. But either of those things is valid. Just a little bit of information and just enough to keep him satisfied. And that's all you really need. And I hope that Prue is going to learn this over the course of these episodes and have developments about that. So I'm still waiting for season 2 to kick in. I think there are interesting aspects like P3 as a concept and as a venue. But I'm starting to really dislike Dan and Jenny. They're going to have to do some work to bring me back to make me appreciate them. And I want more detailed connection between Morris and the sisters. So yeah, I think we're still not really kicking off yet, and I kind of want that. So yeah. I mean, as I said, in my editing process of the first 3 episodes of season 2, I did notice the lack of talking about my bingo card. So even though we didn't tick everything off, here's another reminder of my charmed trope bingo cards. And I think that's basically where I leave you. So yeah, for this episode, I think that's it. And all that remains for me to say is this has been a presentation of the Yay, Nay or Mad channel. And I will see you next time where I shine a light on TV and cinema, both obvious and obscure.